Greetings and welcome to all of you who have gathered here to celebrate the curtain raiser event of Dr. K.M. Bashir Centennial Year. We have as the theme for the year, Cultures and Communities of Kerala Finding Common Ground in Equal Humanity and Equal Citizenship. We have with us a renowned constitutionalist, I would say, who has done a lot of work in constitutional law. Dr. Gopal has impressed me from the time that we began to talk to one another about the theme of this conference. One of the most interesting things that I have found is his open-mindedness to the Constitution and to the laws that have been made in the Constitution, and the various interpretations and reinterpretations that are being made and had been made in the Constitution for these many years. I was surprised to see a quote from Hamlet in titling one of his articles, which said, "To be or not to be independent." And that was something that he addressed the judiciary. Is the judiciary independent today, or is the judiciary tied to make laws, rules, and the kind of dictates that they make on so many issues in the society today? One of the things, again, that interested me was the humanity he was showing in many of the cases that he had taken up for analysis. Particularly the Nirbhaya case, where he was actually saying, did you really have to give lethal punishment to the 4 who were sentenced to death? The Nirbhaya case was something that really revolutionized human thinking and the kind of gross violence that was perpetuated by the 4 boys who perpetuated it. And he said, why do we need to give them death? Why don't we give them life imprisonment? Because that is perhaps a worse kind of fate than a sudden death. That was the time when they will perhaps think about the crime that they have done and repent for the crime. And it is here we see his great humanity and his love for humans and what it is to be a human. In many of these talks and articles that he has done, one is surprised to find that sometimes he is very, very rational. Sometimes he makes very emotional decisions. When he talks about democracy and when he quotes Ambedkar, he says that in a country that is pluralistic and in a country where there are so many religions and so many cultures, how do we bring them all together? And as Ambedkar said, democracy is something that is not integral to the soil of India, but democracy can be the ice topping on India. And that is what we are going, perhaps in this one-day event of the curtain raiser, we are going to hear from Dr. Mohan Gopal. He's going to tell us about that icing on the top of the democracy that attracts us at first sight. But as you delve in, there are many complexities, many issues that we need to address and to solve. So with these introductory remarks, I warmly welcome Dr. Mohan Gopal to this evening's function and to the public lecture that he will be giving. Once again, a very warm welcome to all the participants here who have been with us since morning. Thank you.
Good evening to everyone, and thank you very much, Professor Jameela Begum, for very kind words. And thank you to Sajita Bashir and the Vakamalubi Foundation for this opportunity to share some thoughts with you on this very important theme. Let me begin by paying humble respect on my own behalf and behalf of everyone to the great thinker and visionary Vakam Maulavi, in whose name we've all gathered together, and to Professor K.M. Bashir, another great thinker and another great visionary, thanks to whom we have this place to gather. So it is the 100th birth anniversary of Professor Bashir, and so we pay our tribute to him as well. In that, I would like to basically I will make the following argument. The argument is that we don't have a common ground. We meaning those who are suffering and oppressed, not the powerful but the powerless. 85% of India, whether you're Dalit, Bahujan, minority communities, or whether you're women, or whether you're handicapped, anyone who's less powerful, whether you're impoverished, we are maybe 90% of the population, but we are unable to resist the exploitation of the common people of this country and find a material change in the living standards of the people, of the common people of this country, which many other countries have made. I think India is the only major country where there has been no material improvement in the standard of living. We have all kinds of numbers and all that, but if you look at the reality across this country, Kerala is not a typical example. We have definitely made significant improvement by Indian standards. But I've lived in other parts of the country. I'm 71 years old. Will be 72 very very shortly. I can tell you there is no material change in the conditions of common people or in their place in the society. There is no change. So we have to, if we have all got to come together, we need a common ground. And we do not have, there is no common ground. And I want to say that if we think for a common ground in an open architecture way as we thought about, we will never find a common ground. So where do we find this common ground that we do not have? That's the real question I want to address. And my argument is the concept of equal humanity and equal citizenship, which Dr. Ambedkar has established in the Constitution, is the common ground that can bring us all together. And that is why the Constitution is meaningful. It's not simply because it's an administrative document. It is to some extent being hollowed out through interpretation. It can be hollowed out more. So, who is and what is threatening this Constitution and this concept of equal humanity and equal citizenship? Why is this such a challenge? Such a challenge that when India became independent and adopted its Constitution, the then British Prime Minister said it is the greatest experiment in human history. A group of powerless people have come together and declared in the preamble their solemn resolve to construct on this land a sovereign, socialist, secular democracy in which justice, equality, liberty, dignity, and fraternity shall be secured to all the people. Such a daring proclamation has never been made in human history by common people. It is alchemy, constitutional alchemy, political alchemy, to convert something very pedestrian into something extraordinary. That's what we mean by alchemy. Who is against this? If we are 90% of the population, we all want equal humanity and equal citizenship. Who and what is against it? But before that, I just share a couple of slides on how complex our country is. If you put the population of countries into India, you'll find that UP is equal to Pakistan. UP population is roughly equal to Pakistan, Japan, Bihar to Japan, Egypt to West Bengal, Rajasthan to Germany, MP to Turkey, UK to Gujarat, Mexico to Maharashtra, Telangana to South Korea, France to Karnataka to France, Tamil Nadu to Thailand. And if you take the remaining states and union territories, these are the top 10 most populous states. If you take the remaining states, it is equal to the population of the United States and Russia combined. So we are now trying to bring together, find a common ground for a subcontinent where we are looking at 10 major countries and populations, plus 2. So 12 major countries are living in our country, are equivalent to the population of our country. The only difference is that our diversity is more than the diversity experienced by these countries. So if anyone imagines that they can have one language, one religion, one nation for the subcontinent, they're just dreaming. They're just setting the stage for utter chaos, because it will never happen. It can never happen. Emperors more powerful than them have tried it and failed because of this complexity. Now, on top of this, is just in terms of ethnic populations and state populations. Look at the communities. We had a discussion of what is community. Look at the communities that constitute India. Communities abroad, any group of people with some shared characteristics is a community. We have thousands of communities which I would say are social nations, not political nations. Article 1 of the Indian Constitution says India is a union of states. Politically, that's correct. But to me, India socially is a union of social nations, is a union of communities. Thousands of communities, around 5,000 documented communities, 700 odd tribes, and thousands of other undocumented communities. Raising issues of caste. Now if you take this is a little bit misbehaving. Yeah. If you take the criteria on the basis of which this country is polarized, and therefore people face discrimination according to the Constitution. Take the constitutional parameters, and you have all these parameters in the Constitution: caste, religion, descent, race, gender, residence, language, script and culture, inadequate representation, massive inequality, social, economic, political inequality, and inequality before the law, and unequal protection of the law, exclusion, social, educational, and economic deprivation. So these 12 nations riven with exploitation and inequality on these parameters which are mentioned in the Constitution. There are many other parameters, but these are the parameters mentioned in the Constitution. So we have to deal with this reality. We have to bring people together. We have to end discrimination and inequality. We have to make sure that every one of these people enjoys equal humanity and equal citizenship. That is our challenge. Now, what is interesting is that what is the way forward? And my argument is the first common ground for India's progress, which remains the first priority in our pursuit of equal humanity and equal citizenship, was identified in the 19th century. It was the anti-caste struggle. The 19th century was an anti-caste century. A phenomenal number of giants arose in the 19th century in Kerala and in the rest of India, challenging this idea of caste directly or indirectly. And I've got the list of some of them here. You can see the sequence in which they are being born. In 1805, we had Kuriakose alias Chavara. In 1809, we had Ayya Vaikunda Swamigal. 16 years later, we had Aratupura Velayatha Panikar. In 1825, the indented ones are national, not Kerala. The others are in Kerala. 1827, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, and 1831, Savitribai Phule. 29 years after Aratupura Panikar, Srinarayana Guru was born. Then 9 years later, Ayyankali, Mahatma Ayyankali, or as Vedan would like us to say, Mahavir Ayyankali. Dr. Palpu in 1863. Then Vakka Maulavi in 1873, especially to be mentioned today. Same year as Vakka Maulavi was Kumar Nashan. 1874, the Kolhapur Shahu Maharaj. Birsa Munda in 1875. In 1879, Poige Lappachan. 1879, again Periyar Ramaswamy. He is the only non-Dalit Bahujan in this list. Otherwise, they're all Dalit Bahujan intellectuals and thinkers. That's why I put that in square brackets. Then we had Vagbhadananda, Pandit Karuppan, and T.K. Madhavan, all born in 1885. And then Pampadi John Joseph, and in Kerala, the last person to be born as this great Dalit Bahujan social reformer was Sahodaran Ayyappan. And the last person in this country to be born as this epochal social revolutionary was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So if you look at this, you see roughly every 6 to 7 years a giant is being born. And they're all focused only on one issue, the Chaturvarnya system, and how to attack it and how to end it. Why? Because they knew that that is the main problem in this country. This culminated in Baba Saheb Ambedkar's historic call in 1936 to India, to all of us, annihilate caste. But what is caste? How do we, from these giants, we have a clear understanding of what is caste and how to annihilate it. But after independence, as predicted by Dr. Ambedkar in 1930, in the first roundtable conference, he said India would be ruled by an oligarchy. Oligarchy means a group of small people would rule India. That's what's happened. We have 4 communities that rule India, 3 communities that rule Kerala. And if you look at any aspect of life, look at Kerala, 82% of the 22 or so ministries that have been formed in Kerala, Chief Minister, 82% is from these 3 communities. And now we have a whole line of them waiting to be sworn in the next ministry as the Chief Minister. And there are 3 Iravas, so leave the Iravas aside, but one Muslim for 53 days, and no one else from any other community has ever been Chief Minister of Kerala. 18 of 25 judges that have gone to the Supreme Court from Kerala are from these 3 communities. Sorry, 14 of 18 judges who have gone to the Supreme Court are from this community. There are 2 Muslims and 2 Dalits. There has never been an Irava judge of the Supreme Court. Never been any other Hindu OBC judge of the Supreme Court in the history of India for 75 years. There has never been a Malayali Muslim Chief Secretary of Kerala. There has been a Malayali Muslim head of the police only for 25 days, Mr. Sattar Kunya. I mean, I can go on and give you this list of how 3 communities are monopolizing all power for 75 years. This is what Dr. Ambedkar predicted. So when we talk of the anti-caste struggle, it's a struggle against discrimination in favor of a small group of people. It is not asking for discrimination in favor of those who are excluded. The anti-caste struggle is a struggle to end discrimination in favor of a small number of people. Because no country can progress if you will simply get all your top leaders from just these 4 communities, leaving everyone else out. So it is not a campaign where others are saying, give us any favor. It's been twisted in that manner. We are simply asking to end the century-old discrimination in favor of a small oligarchy. So what happened after independence, when this oligarchy took over, is instead of annihilating caste, they annihilated the anti-caste movement. So from the middle of the 20th century till today, there is no anti-caste movement. There is no space to talk about caste. That issue which was topmost entire 19th century, I cannot talk about it anymore. The moment I say caste, they'll say, oh, you're casteist. I am casteist. Because I'm saying, stop discriminating in favor of 3 communities. Stop discriminating in favor of 4 communities at the central level. Give everyone a chance. They say, I'm casteist. Anyone who, you can't mention this word. So the anti-caste struggle has been strangulated, censored, silenced. The question is, how do we revive it? Our own, these 90%, when I say our own, I mean the 90% who are victims of this oligarchy, they are themselves not prepared to struggle against caste anymore because of this 75-year gap that has happened, that has made discussion about caste somehow wrong. So we need a new language to fight the essence of the caste system, for which we need to understand what is the caste system very briefly. I look at the caste system from a legal point of view because I'm a student of law. Caste has been defined by sociologists, anthropologists and others. Some language experts are the main people who have defined caste. If you look at the various people who have come up with theories of caste. But those definitions don't work for me, because the Constitution refers to, in Article 15, it prohibits caste discrimination. So I have to understand what is caste from a legal point of view. Article 29 prohibits caste discrimination. Article 15 prohibits caste discrimination. So from a legal point of view, I understand caste as follows in a very simple way. Every country in the world has social groups, because humans are social animals. All human societies form families and social groups everywhere. And those social groups have prejudices and so on to each other. They think they're superior and inferior and all those things all over the world. But that is not caste. These social groups are not jatis, they are samudayam. This we learn from Guru, Narayana Guru, who explains to us that jati means janma riti. The word jati means janma riti. And therefore Sahodaran said, jati venda manishana, no need of jati. But Guru says, Udu jati manishana, one jati for humans. Why? Because Guru says, we know that all the human beings all over the world are born through the same janmariti, one janmariti, from a yoni in the same akaram. And because we all have the same janmariti, we are one jati, one species, Homo sapiens. It is not as if some humans are born in some different way. So if jati is janmariti, where do we get the proposition that we are not all born through the same method? Where do we get it from? There is only one source. That all humans are not born through the same method. And that is a Purusha Sukta of the Rig Veda, which says that humans are born some from the head of the Virat Purusha, some from the shoulder, some from the thigh, some from the feet. 4 different Janma Ritis. Purusha Sukta is a list of Janma Ritis, not only of these 4 types, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, but also of animals, animals with 2 rows of teeth, the earth, the sky. It is Purusha Sukta lists the creation, the method of creation of many things, including these 4 things called Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. The Rig Veda does not have a concept of creation of a human being, because it has no concept of a human being. But it talks of the creation of these 4 things, which means if you're not in these 4 things, you're not a human being. You don't exist. You have no method of creation, so you have no life. You're an inanimate object without a method of creation. So because the Rig Veda says there are 4 jatis, 4 methods of birth, creation, therefore there are 4 jatis. And these are the 4 jatis: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. They are the 4 jatis. Social groups are samudaya. Then what is varna? The Purusha Sukta does not give you the details of the social status, responsibility, duties, etc. of these 4 groups that are created, or 4 things that are created, or 4 groups of what we know are human beings. Therefore, there is a description, a varnanam of their powers and responsibilities in later texts. What is Brahmin, what is Kshatriya, and so on and so forth. And that varnanam, description, is what we mean by varna. If there is only one jati, there is no need for varna, description of 4 jatis, responsibilities. So Guru's explanation that there is only, jati means janma riti, there is only one janma riti for all human beings, gets rid of jati and varna. So when Guru says casteless society, when we say casteless society, it means a society which rejects the idea that there are 4 different types of janma ritis for humans. Whether janmana, karmana, whatever it is, that human beings are categorized into Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. That categorization is gone. There's another false categorization, white and black, race. What if a white man tells me, look, whiteness is not only by birth, whiteness can be karmana, according to your deeds. So if you are maybe colored black, but if you do nice things, you're a white man. If not, you're a black man. I mean, why should we have a distinction between white and black? Why can't we just treat each other as human beings? And why can't we just say good people and bad people? Why do we need to use frameworks that benefit certain people who are already known by those categories? So caste, therefore, to conclude that part, caste is a system of categorizing social groups into 5 categories. 1, 2, 3, 4, which I just said, and 5 is nota, none of the above, outside all this, not humans. So you take social groups and you put them in these categories. And what is the consequence? From my point of view as a lawyer, each category's civil, political, and economic rights are defined. If you are categorized in category 1, you have full set of rights. Category 2, almost full set of rights. Category 3, little less. Category 4, you have to serve the others, but you have some rights. If you are in category 5, you have absolutely no rights. So caste is a system of categorizing social groups in such a manner as to vest and take away civil, political, and economic rights. In the system, there are no individual rights at all. So this is the caste system. So in the 19th century, the anti-caste struggle demanded that don't categorize us in order to control our civil, political, and economic rights. This is where equal citizenship comes in. Caste system is a system of unequal citizenship, where category 1 is a different kind of citizen, and so on and so forth. So 19th century, they said, what Guru said is we have equal humanity, the same humanity. Our humanity comes from our janma riti, from our membership of a species. And since that is equal humanity, there is no greater human or lesser human, we are all human. There is no greater citizen or no lesser citizen, because you cannot categorize us into different categories of citizenship. So the anti-caste struggle was a struggle to assert equal humanity and equal citizenship, and to get rid of a system that stripped 90% of people of their civil, political, and economic rights. So the Varna system is unequal humanity and unequal citizenship. The purpose of creating the system is, whether Janmana or Karmana, to take away the rights of people who are categorized in the lower echelons of this scale, and to give greater rights to those who are in the higher echelons of that scale. That's the purpose of the system. As far as I'm concerned, as a lawyer, that's a practical consequence. If you don't take away my rights, I don't care what you think. There's no practical consequence. But if you tell me because I'm categorized in number 4 or 5, I cannot study, I cannot work, I cannot think, I cannot dress in a particular way, you're taking away my rights. It is like the gender categorization. You create a man-woman gender difference and you categorize the human being as a woman and you take away her rights, equal rights. Caste is a similar situation, or race, the same thing. Now, I'm going to pass over this. Ambedkar, I'm not getting to the details of this. Dr. Ambedkar did not simply say annihilate caste. He built into the constitution 20 weapons for caste destruction. Like weapons for mass destruction, I'm saying weapons for caste destruction. I'm not getting into the details of that. In the discussion, if you want, we can. But to get a sense of the constitution has 4 political ideologies: socialism, secularism, democracy, and our republican status, and individual rights, a variety of individual rights that will guarantee us justice, liberty, equality, dignity, and fraternity and unity. I remember Sir had asked about judges and their discretion and so on and so forth. Judges, we can come back to that in the later discussion, but rights are simply meant to create an entitlement. If the constitution is implemented, the oligarchy will be dismantled. Ambedkar has built the constitution as a weapon for caste destruction. If the constitution is implemented, caste will be destroyed, oligarchy will be destroyed. Therefore, those who are controlling the constitution, the oligarchy, they are ensuring that the constitution is never implemented because it is in their interest that it should not be implemented. And now that they have huge power, they are trying to change it so that this threat will be ended. This is perhaps the most important provision in this context of today's discussion of the Constitution. The state, this is the entire purpose of the Indian state. The state shall strive to promote the welfare of the people by securing and protecting as effectively as it may a social order, not economic order or political order, a social order in which justice, social, economic, and political shall inform all institutions of national life. State shall strive to minimize inequalities in income and endeavor to eliminate inequalities in status, facilities, and opportunities, not only amongst individuals, but also amongst groups of people, communities. We have no problem with a powerful Iyer community or Iyengar community. But the Pulaya and the Paraya community should be equally powerful. There should be no inequality of power between them. And because there is inequality of power, because there is discrimination in favor of the powerful, naturally they discriminate in favor of themselves, and therefore we have the consequence of the constitution not being implemented. If this is implemented, this is the end of the caste system and the end of the oligarchy. The constitution, therefore, is based on equal humanity and equal citizenship. As I said, after independence, what was annihilated was not the caste, but the anti-caste movement. And finally, I want to say that today we are left with only 2 options for the future. All the other options have been gone. We have now left the finals. It's like the Wimbledon finals. There are only two players, right? One is Hindu Rashtra, based on unequal humanity and unequal citizenship. The other is a constitution based on equal humanity and equal citizenship. And how do we fight this battle? That I will discuss, but I wanted to end with this quote from Dr. Ambedkar, or this part of what I'm saying, which is, as a rule, I do not like to take any part in a movement which is carried on by the caste Hindus. Why? Because their attitude towards social reform is so different from mine that I have found it difficult to pull on with them. Indeed, I find their company quite uncongenial to me on account of our differences of opinion. So you can't find common ground if you're trying to See, there is no common ground between a doctor and the disease. The doctor has to end the disease. You can't sit down and have a conversation with the virus saying, okay, let's find you, infect only this part of the body, leave the other safe, right? There cannot be a common ground. But there must be a common ground between all who want to cure the patient. Different doctors, nurses, family, the patient himself or herself. There must be a common ground between those whose objective is to reform society. Let me also end with just a couple of minutes to explain what I see as the basis of equal citizenship, which is equal humanity. Because both the word equality and humanity is often discussed by me when I'm in the judicial academy, legal academies, because lawyers and judges deal with this a lot, the idea of equality. And most of them say there is no equality. In the North, they show 5 fingers and say they're not all of the same size. Nothing is equal. Like Gandhi told Guru, all these leaves are not the same size. So inequality is natural. You have to accept it. So I tell them, look, this is not the idea of equality from a legal point of view. The idea of equality from a legal point of view rests on the following. When I interact with this computer versus when I interact with any human being here, if you pay attention, when we interact with another member of the human species, we have a very different qualitative reaction. It's undefinable. It's like at a different level when I see my parents or my children, I have a very different reaction than when I see others. Similarly, at a broader level, when two members of the Homo sapiens species interact with each other or see each other, there is something indefinable that we experience. As long as that person is alive. When you deal with a dead body, you may not feel it. But when you deal with a live human being, there is a difference. Why? Because there is some essence of being a live human, which is a cumulative result of many things that are happening inside a human, that makes us connect with another human being in a unique manner. Whether we agree or disagree, whether we fight or kill each other, whatever it is, we know we are dealing with another human being, which is why they have to invent such a nonsensical fairy tale like Varna and the creation, this creation theory in Rigveda Purusha Sukta, to strip us of our rights. Because we are human beings. They know we are human beings. That essence we have, that we feel when we deal with another human being, that is the basis of equality. Because that essence is the same in every human being. Whether you're an enemy, a friend, rich or poor, we cannot walk away from a human being the same way we can walk away from a computer. And that essence is the same in every human being, because it is recognizing the importance of that essence and the same value of that essence that we say equal humanity. And it is very sad that in our country, for many years, one of the greatest intellectuals the world has ever seen in his field of social justice and law and constitutional law and philosophy, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, was repeatedly in this country not begging is not the right word, telling. It brings tears to our eyes actually, telling the oligarchy in this country, please recognize my humanity. Because they're blind to his humanity. And once you recognize that humanity, then naturally equality follows, liberty follows, justice follows. So we must all come together and revive the struggle of the 19th century, which found a common ground, which would have taken us forward to a better future. At least as a first instance, to make sure that all of us are treated as human beings and equal human beings and equal citizens. And that was the anti-caste movement, the anti-Varna movement, a movement for equal humanity and equal citizenship. So let us all come together, explore as we have done today the concepts of equal humanity and equal citizenship more deeply, understand it more deeply, practice it more deeply, theorize it more deeply, implement it more deeply, because we have to fight for a positive goal. We can't just fight for a negative goal. And that positive goal is in the Constitution and in our struggle in the 19th century. And I thought we had a very interesting set of discussions in the morning. Some very insightful presentations in the academic session on how to approach the challenges of equal humanity and equal citizenship. But let us all resolve to go back to these great giants whose names I read out in the 19th century, who have given us a treasure trove of thought on what is equal humanity and equal citizenship and how to fight for that in our own context. We don't have to think of in our own language. We have nothing against any thinking anywhere else, but we have this thinking that has emerged from our own struggles. And let's take those thoughts and move forward, and let this be a beginning for a struggle for this great goal of equal humanity and equal citizenship. Let me stop here.